Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that, well, might not be top of mind in your daily practice, but it's becoming increasingly vital. We're talking about online branding and marketing specifically for a vascular surgery practice. Think of it perhaps as equipping yourself with a new kind of surgical tool, but for the digital landscape.
That's a great way to put it. Because, the days when just having a stellar reputation whispered through the medical community was enough, those are largely behind us.
Right.
And that reputation really needs a digital voice, especially with the more competitive environment we see today.
Absolutely. And we're seeing this rise in informed patients, people actively seeking out the best care. It's almost like a consumer mindset, isn't it, when it comes to healthcare decision?
Exactly. And that crucial stream of referrals, it often starts now with an online search or maybe a connection made online.
So our goal here in this deep dive is really to pull out the most valuable, the most usable strategies. We're drawing from a top source, the chapters on online branding and marketing in Rutherford's Vascular Surgery and Endovascular Therapy, the 10th edition.
That's standard, yeah.
We want to give you the practical know-how, how to establish your expertise online, connect with patients, connect with referring physicians, and importantly, how to do that without feeling like you suddenly need a degree in digital marketing.
Mm-hmm. And it's worth stressing, this isn't just about, chasing the latest trend. The textbook actually highlights this fundamental shift. It's driven by things like the growth in elective procedures and, frankly, a more business-oriented approach creeping into healthcare overall.
So online presence isn't just a nice to have anymore.
No, not at all. It's increasingly central, really, to a practice's long-term health and viability.
Okay, so let's unpack that fundamental shift you mentioned. The source material talks about this evolution. Marketing moving from something kind of avoided in medicine to being, well, an absolute necessity. What are the core engines driving this, especially in vascular surgery?
Well, like you said, the competitive landscape is a huge factor. Vascular surgeons often find themselves competing, alongside other specialists offering similar kinds of interventions.
Right.
But beyond that, patients themselves are they're empowered now with so much information. They research conditions. They compare treatment options online. They're looking for specialists who don't just have the credentials on paper, but who also communicate effectively online, who build that trust digitally. It's about making an informed choice.
So it's about meeting that more informed patient where they already are, which is often online. And this isn't just about direct-to-patient marketing, is it? You mentioned referrals earlier.
Absolutely not. Referrals remain critical. Your online efforts, they aren't just attracting new patients finding you on Google. They're also a really powerful tool for nurturing those relationships with your referring physicians.
Ah, okay.
Those colleagues, they need to feel confident in your expertise, confident in the quality of care their patients are going to receive, and a strong online presence that can significantly sway those referral decisions.
Right. Okay. So it's like building a digital reputation that speaks to both patients and your peers. Now, the foundation for any of this outreach has got to be branding. What are the essential building blocks for a strong brand for a vascular surgery practice, according to Rutherford's?
Well, the textbook touches on the basics. Branding is establishing a recognizable identity. Think of visual cues like your logo, maybe a catchy tagline that sums up your practice philosophy.
Sure, the standard stuff.
But in medicine, it actually goes much deeper. Your brand is essentially the value proposition you offer. It's about the benefits patients and referrers perceive they get in exchange for their trust and, well, their healthcare dollars. What makes your practice stand out? That's your brand, fundamentally.
Interesting. So defining your unique value and then communicating it, the source also flags some specific tools that can help strengthen a practice's brand pretty easily.
Yeah, a key one they mention is the SVS member logo provided by the Society for Vascular Surgery.
Ah, okay.
That's a tangible marker,
Yeah.
right? Shows commitment to the field, high standards. Displaying that logo, along with clearly highlighting your board certifications, other society memberships, it just instantly conveys credibility, expertise.
It's a visual shorthand for quality.
Exactly. Signaling quality at a glance to anyone who finds you online.
Those are definitely concrete ways to build trust visually. Okay, let's navigate now to the core of this digital discussion. Social media. What exactly is social media in this context, and what makes it such a big shift from, say, traditional advertising?
So the text defines it pretty straightforwardly. Web-based and mobile tools that basically transform communication into a two-way street. Interactive dialogues.
Okay, interactivity is key.
That's the critical difference from traditional ads, which are mostly just a one-way broadcast, right?
Yeah.
You put an ad out there. Social media allows for direct engagement, sharing experiences, forming communities around interests or, health needs. Unlike a static print ad, online content can be revisited, it can be shared, it can be discussed.
That interactive element really seems pivotal. It's not just pushing info out, it's fostering connection. And the sheer scale, the number of people using these platforms is just staggering, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The source points out, I think it's nearly 70% of U.S. adults are active on at least one social media platform.
Wow.
And they spend a lot of time engaging with digital media. The figure mentioned is upwards of 6 hours a day.
6 hours?
Yeah. So that presents this just unprecedented opportunity for vascular practices to connect with a huge engaged audience.
Okay, broad reach, it's accessible, often minimal cost. Those are really compelling advantages. But the source also, pumps the brakes a little, looks at the potential downsides. What are the main limitations we need to be aware of here?
Well, the primary ones highlighted are, first, the potential for inaccurate medical information to spread really rapidly. That's a serious concern in healthcare, obviously.
Definitely.
And second, the complexities of managing negative feedback, which, might sometimes be unfounded or even malicious from trolls, requires really careful monitoring and a thoughtful approach.
Okay, so a powerful tool, but one that demands careful handling. Let's dive into specific platforms then. The book outlines several popular sites and how they might be used in vascular surgery. Let's start with the big one, Facebook. What's the main value proposition for a practice using Facebook effectively?
Right, Facebook. With its massive user base, it gives you the potential to reach a really wide spectrum of people. Patients, potential patients, their families who are often key support figures, and even people within your own department or hospital network. The textbook notes that patients might just organically share their positive experiences on their own profiles, which is basically free word-of-mouth marketing.
Nice.
And then your practice can set up a public page. That's where you share engaging educational content about conditions you treat, services you offer. They suggest posting maybe 2 to 3 times a week, enough to stay visible without, flooding people's feeds.
Makes sense. Build a community. Keep useful info flowing. What about video? YouTube seems like such a natural fit for explaining complex medical stuff.
Precisely. YouTube is incredibly powerful, billions of active users, and it's particularly good for delivering that detailed educational content. Explaining complex vascular conditions, the different treatment options, patients and families really benefit from that.
Yeah, it makes you see that.
And compared to, say, producing a traditional TV ad, YouTube is very cost-effective for getting video information out there. You create your own channel, build up a library of resources. Subscribers get notified when you post new stuff, which builds that direct connection.
And branding is easy to integrate.
Yeah, through your channel name, visuals within the videos, and you have flexibility in posting frequency, depending on how complex your videos are. Think of YouTube as your chance to be the go-to explainer for vascular issues. When you break down info visually, make it accessible. You're not just marketing, you're establishing yourself as a trusted authority before someone even steps into your clinic.
That's a really powerful idea, building trust through accessible visual explanation. Okay, shifting gears a bit. What about Twitter, known for its short, sharp updates? How can vascular surgeons use that effectively?
Twitter, yeah. With its short text-based tweets, it's really become quite valuable for professional networking within the medical community.
More for peers.
Largely, yes. Lots of physicians, researchers use it to stay current on findings, join discussions, connect with colleagues in different specialties. Even with the character limit, you can still include images, links to research papers, short videos, and hashtags are crucial there.
Right, for discoverability.
Exactly. For reaching colleagues, referring physicians who are following specific topics in vascular surgery. And interestingly, the source points out that just including a photo in your tweet can significantly boost its visibility and engagement, especially among other medical professionals.
Okay, so Twitter leans more towards professional networking, keeping your finger on the pulse, nurturing those peer relationships. What about Instagram, the visual one?
Instagram, being primarily image-based, is, really well suited for sharing visually engaging educational content. Think informative graphics, maybe carefully anonymized before and after photos with explicit consent, of course, or short, visually appealing videos explaining basic concepts.
And captions are important there too.
Definitely. Captions provide context, let you use relevant hashtags to get found. And Instagram is pretty interactive too, through comments and direct messages. It allows for quick engagement with users who might have questions. Posting frequency there tends to be a bit higher, maybe daily or several times a week, just to stay visible in that fast-moving visual feed.
Okay, so each platform offers a unique angle, a unique way to connect with different audiences. Now, the crucial part, how do you actually translate this potential into real benefits for your practice? The book lays out some key guidelines for effective social media marketing. What are the sort of overarching principles?
The fundamental principle, really, is to consistently position yourself as a knowledgeable, trustworthy expert in vascular surgery. That's job one. Now, when it comes to reaching patients directly, Facebook and YouTube probably offer the broadest reach.
Okay.
And the SVS actually provides customizable ad templates with the SVF member logo already on them
Hmm,
for platforms like Facebook, Twitter, even Doximity. That can be a great starting point.
that's handy.
Absolutely essential, though, is making sure all your profiles, all your posts include complete, up-to-date contact information for your practice. Make it easy for people to find you.
Crucial. Don't make them hunt for a phone number. What kind of content tends to get the most traction?
Visual content is definitely king. Posts with relevant photos, engaging videos,
Yeah.
they consistently get higher levels of interaction. Likes, shares, comments. The guidelines also stress, including clear calls to action. Follow our page, share this post, visit our website for more info.
Guiding the user to the next step.
Exactly. And speaking of websites, making it super easy to book appointments, maybe directly from social media or having a prominent link to your site's appointment page, that's key for converting that online engagement into actual patient visits. You could even consider, light, easy-to-enter contests or promotions sometimes, just to grab initial attention.
And it's not all about book now, visit us, right? There's
Mhm.
that balance in the type of content.
Precisely. The book mentions the social 80-20 rule, which is a really useful framework. Aim for at least 80% of what you post to be genuinely informative, interesting, valuable to your audience.
Like educational stuff.
Yeah, educational posts, helpful tips, insights into vascular health. Then, the remaining 20% or less can be more directly promotional, highlighting services, new technology, and achievements. This way, you build trust, keep people engaged with valuable content, rather than making them feel like they're just being constantly sold to.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and box 203.2 in the text really boils this down nicely. It emphasizes aligning social media with your overall marketing, having a clear brand message, consistent logo, maybe picking just 2, 3 platforms to do really well.
Don't spread yourself too thin.
Exactly. Define key patient takeaways. Make sure your online storefront looks good. Keep creating engaging, accurate content with that 80-20 balance. Use case visuals ethically and with consent. Include concise patient testimonials if possible. And just keep it updated, at least weekly.
Those are really practical, actionable guidelines. Now, tracking patients is one thing, but what about specific strategies on social media to connect with and, importantly, attract those crucial referring physicians?
Right, the textbook definitely underscores that referrers are a critical audience. Social media offers a direct channel to demonstrate your expertise and build those professional relationships. As we touched on, Twitter seems particularly effective for this kind of professional branding and reaching colleagues.
And using those hashtags again.
Absolutely. Using relevant, specific hashtags related to vascular conditions, procedures, research areas that helps your content find the right professional eyes.
Okay, and what kind of content really clicks with referring physicians? What are they looking for?
So Box 203.3 outlines several effective approaches. Things like sharing information on new diagnostic techniques you're using or innovative treatment strategies, highlighting recent publications or presentations from your team.
Showcasing the cutting edge.
It's exactly. Presenting interesting or complex cases you've handled successfully, maybe outlining the solution. Offering interactive case studies could even work, inviting discussion, publicizing new research your practice is involved in, or announcing availability of new medications or protocols. The key is consistently showcasing your advanced knowledge and your leadership within the field.
Okay, so the focus shifts there. Less general education, more showcasing specific expertise and contributing to the professional conversation. Now, let's pivot to the cautionary side. Potential pitfalls. What are some definite don'ts when using social media for a vascular practice?
This is where being careful is absolutely paramount. First and foremost, avoid giving specific medical advice to individuals online. Ever.
Igor.
Huge. Social media communication needs to stay general, educational, always guide people towards a direct consultation for their specific health concerns. Also, avoid glamorizing procedures or using sensational language. Maintain a professional, ethical, and frankly, realistic tone.
That makes perfect sense. Build trust, manage expectations responsibly. What else should surgeons steer clear of?
Well, the textbook strongly advises against sharing personal religious or political opinions publicly. Your patient base, your referral network, they'll have diverse views. You don't want to inadvertently alienate anyone.
Keep it professional.
Keep it professional. And that extends to relationships. Initiating or maintaining personal social media friendships with patients is generally discouraged because of potential ethical tangles. Don't grant patients access to your purely personal profiles either. That separation between professional and personal online life is really crucial. And above all, always adhere to the social media policies set by your department, your hospital and institution, and relevant professional societies like the SVS.
Clear boundaries are essential. Now, inevitably, if you're online publicly, you might encounter negative feedback. That happens. How should practices approach that? Handling negative comments? And are there other downsides besides just negativity?
Yeah, negative feedback, well, definitely unwelcome. It's kind of a reality online. The crucial first step is never just ignore it or delete it.
Really? Don't delete.
Generally, no, unless it's truly offensive or spam. Instead, respond. Respond promptly, professionally. Express sincerity. Avoid getting defensive. Try to understand the commenter's perspective. And if it seems appropriate, offer to take the conversation offline to a private message, maybe a phone call, to address their concerns more thoroughly.
Get it out of the public feed.
Exactly. And look, if your practice did make an error, a sincere personal apology, not some canned response, often goes a long way, followed by concrete steps to fix things. Now, for blatant trolls, inflammatory comments with no substance, the best approach there is usually just to ignore them, or maybe post a single factual correction without getting drawn into an argument.
Good strategies for navigating those tricky interactions. What about other potential downsides beyond just negative comments?
Well, the text highlights the risk of patients maybe misinterpreting online information. Or worse, relying on social media for direct medical advice instead of seeking a proper consultation, which could delay diagnosis or treatment.
That's a serious concern.
It is. Privacy breaches, hopefully avoided with careful practices, are another potential pitfall. And finally, just the general spread of misinformation online. As healthcare professionals, you really have a responsibility to ensure the accuracy and reliability of the educational content you share. Be part of the solution, not the problem.
Right. Being mindful of how patients might interpret and act on the info shared is key. Which brings us neatly to the critical ethical considerations. How does the American Medical Association, AMA Code of Ethics, play into all this social media use for a vascular practice?
Adhering to the AMA Code of Ethics is absolutely fundamental. Protecting patient privacy and confidentiality is number one. Never, ever share any identifiable patient information, images, specific case details without getting explicit informed consent beforehand.
Non-negotiable.
Completely. And it's also important to realize, and maybe even remind patients, that information shared online can persist for a long time, even if you think your privacy settings are locked down. So caution is always needed. Regularly monitoring your own online presence can help ensure the information associated with you or your practice is accurate.
And those professional boundaries we talked about earlier.
Yes, the AMA emphasizes maintaining clear professional boundaries in all online interactions with patients. Having separate professional and personal accounts is just a basic, necessary step for that. The AMA also points out that physicians actually have a professional responsibility to address unprofessional or unethical content posted by colleagues if they become aware of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Ultimately, your online conduct reflects not just on you, but it can impact the public's trust in the entire medical profession. Box 203.4 in the source summarizes these key ethical guidelines. Avoid confidentiality breaches, get informed consent, don't incentivize patient postings, follow institutional rules, keep accounts separate, and ensure all communication respects ITA and maintains professional boundaries.
Really important reminders that our professional duties absolutely extend into the digital space. Okay, let's shift to a very practical consideration. Budgeting. What kind of financial investment are we talking about for these marketing efforts?
Well, the textbook provides some general benchmarks to think about. The U.S. Small Business Administration suggests businesses under $5 million in revenue typically allocate around 7% to 8% of their total revenue to marketing.
Okay.
Within vascular surgery specifically, the SVS has suggested ranges, maybe 5% to 10% of gross income in really competitive areas, and perhaps 1% to 5% in less competitive markets.
And that covers more than just ads, right?
Well, yeah. It's important to understand that budget includes not just direct advertising costs, but also expenses related to branding itself, and potentially the cost of hiring staff, or maybe outsourcing things like website upkeep or social media management. You have to think of it as an investment in the practice's visibility and, ultimately, its growth.
Right, a strategic allocation of resources. Okay, finally, let's talk implementation. Putting all this into action, where should a practice even begin, and what are some key steps for success?
The essential starting point, according to the source, is a professional, user-friendly personal website. Investing in experienced web developers is usually highly recommended. Make sure the site looks good, is easy to navigate, and is optimized so people can find it via search engines.
The website as the central hub.
Exactly. It serves as the home base for all your online activities, linking out to your various social media platforms. And remember that viral potential of social media. It can amplify your message and drive traffic back to your website. Many practices actually find real value in partnering with professional social media marketing companies, folks who specialize in healthcare.
That makes sense, leveraging expertise. And when it comes to the content itself, what should be the main focus?
Prioritize creating and sharing content that's genuinely interesting and educational for your target audience, much more than just self-promotion. Think about answering frequently asked questions online, providing clear info about what patients can expect during a visit, explaining different procedures accessibly, maybe using videos or photos, again with proper consent.
Humanizing the practice.
Yeah, introducing your practice, your staff, building that personal connection, and be mindful of the time commitment for different platforms. Short updates for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter are quicker than, say, producing detailed YouTube videos. So you need to decide. Is it better to hire a dedicated social media manager or maybe delegate tasks to existing staff?
Resource allocation again.
Exactly. But that consistent delivery of valuable educational content, that's what fosters engagement, expands your patient base, establishes your authority, and crucially, attracts the attention of those referring physicians. Just always remember, keep the communication broad, general, educational, and strictly adhere to all HIPAA rules about patient privacy.
So it really boils down to a sustained effort focused on providing value and building those connections, both with patients and referrers.
That's it exactly. Social media marketing, when you do it strategically, when you do it ethically, it can be a really powerful catalyst for growth in a vascular surgery practice. But its effectiveness is truly amplified when it complements a strong underlying brand and fundamentally a genuine commitment to building trust and providing excellent care.
Well, this has been an incredibly valuable deep dive into what is, often overlooked but clearly increasingly critical, online branding and marketing for vascular surgery.
Indeed. It's pretty clear that a well-thought-out online presence isn't really a luxury anymore. It's becoming an integral part of any thriving modern practice.
So the key takeaway for you, our listener, is this. Online branding and social media offer powerful ways for vascular surgeons to connect, to educate, and ultimately to grow their practice in today's digital world, provided they're approached strategically, ethically, and always with a focus on delivering real value.
Couldn't agree more. And maybe on that note, here's a final thought for you to consider as you navigate this. In this increasingly digital world we live in, how can vascular surgeons best leverage these online platforms? Not just to market their skills, but to truly empower their patients with knowledge and also to foster stronger, more collaborative relationships with their referring colleagues. It's a question that holds, I think, significant potential for the future of how vascular care is delivered.